Hello, we're so glad you guys could join us today. Miss Ellie and I are here to give you all kinds of spooky, scary, not too scary, Halloween stories. So we're going to get started, of course, with A is for alligator. Miss Ellie, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. A is for alligator, chomp, chomp, chomp. B is for bouncing, so we hop, hop, hop. C is for circle, so let's turn around. And D is for we all sit down. Good job. All right. Well, my name is Miss Melanie, and this is Miss Ellie. And we wanted to share some really spooky Halloween stories with you. And we even have a special guest a little bit later. Miss Ellie, are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right.
So, the book I'm going to share today is called Halloweener by Dave Pilkey. Let's do this right here. There once was a dog named Oscar who was half a dog tall and half a dog long. Because of his unusual shape and size, all the other dogs made fun of him. Wiener dog, they called him. And the Oscar did not like it one bit. Oscar's mother was no help either. Every morning when the dogs walked off to obedience school, Oscar's mother stood by the front yard waving, calling out, "Farewell, my little Vienna sausage." And the other dogs just laughed and laughed. But most of the time, Oscar was upset by all of this. But not today. Today was Halloween, and Oscar was thinking about all the other things all day long at obedience school. Oscar daydreamed about the Halloween nights, trick-or-treaters, and scary-looking costumes. When Oscar got home, he dashed upstairs, started working on his super scary Halloween costume. But when he got to his room, a surprise was waiting for him. "Happy Halloween, my little sausage link," he said to Oscar's mother. "I made you a costume to wear for trick-or-treating." When Oscar saw the costume, he nearly fainted. What do you think it was? It was a giant hot dog bun, complete with mustard. And guess who's supposed to fit in the middle? Oscar did not want to hurt his mother's feelings, but he decided to wear that silly costume. That night, all the dogs gathered to show off their costumes. Everyone was looking quite scary. Then Oscar showed up looking quite frank. When all the dogs saw Oscar in his silly costume, they howled with laughter. "Look at Oscar," they cried. "He really is a wiener dog." Poor Oscar, he was so embarrassed. Wiener dog," laughed all the other dogs as they ran to go trick-or-treating. Oscar tried to keep up with the little dogs, but his silly costume just kept slowing him down. All night long, all the other dogs howled with every treat they could get their paws on. And so by the time Oscar got there to each house, there was no treats left. Soon trick-or-treating was over, and the dogs walked past the spooky-looking graveyard. Suddenly, a horrible hissing sound filled the air. The dogs stopped dead in their tracks. Then out of the graveyard rose a ghastly monster. The dogs screamed for their life, dropping all their treats and jumping into a nearby pond. The monster moved closer and closer. "Please don't eat us," cried the dogs. The monsters howled and hissed. "Boo," said the dogs. The monster jumped up and down. "Somebody, please, save us," shrieked the dogs. Just then, somebody showed up. It was Oscar. Because Oscar was so short, he saw something that no other dogs could see. "That is no monster," said Oscar, and with a loud bark, he waddled to the rescue. Oscar chomped and tugged with all his might. Just then, standing in the moonlight, there were a couple of ornery cats. "Help!" cried the cats. We're being attacked by a giant frankfurter," and they kept screaming all through the graveyard. The dogs in the pond had seen the whole thing, and now it was their turn to be embarrassed. "We've been chased into the pond by a couple of cats," they moaned. But Oscar, he was the true friend. He leaped into the water and swam out to the dogs. Oscar's silly costume made a wonderful life raft, and the dogs climbed up. "All aboard," hollered Oscar, and the dogs paddled their way back to shore. When they got back to dry land, all the dogs shared their Halloween treats with Oscar. Because Oscar had been so brave, the dogs chanted his name, Wiener Dog, to Sandwich Hero. And from that night on, nobody ever made fun of Oscar again. Happy Halloween.
Good job, Miss Ellie. All right, I'm going to tell you a story all about a witch. And this witch loved pumpkin pie. It was her favorite thing in the whole world, and she looked forward to it all year long. Well, it was coming about October, and she planted a seed in the ground. Well, it grew and it grew and it grew into a big pumpkin. Oh, that's awesome, said the witch. It's big and it's mine. Oh, I can't wait for pumpkin pie. So the witch went outside and she grabbed onto the pumpkin vine and she pulled and she pulled and she pulled. But that pumpkin just sat. Drat, said the witch. Well, about that time, along came a ghost. Ooh, said the ghost, big pumpkin. It's big and it's mine and it's stuck on the vine and Halloween is just hours away, said the witch, and she kicked that pumpkin. Well, the ghost said, I'm bigger than you and stronger too. Let me try. Huh, said the witch, but she thought of pumpkin pie, so she stepped aside. The ghost grabbed onto the vine and he pulled and he pulled and he pulled. But that pumpkin just sat. Drat, said the witch. Well, about this time, along came a vampire. Ooh, big pumpkin, said the vampire. It's big and it's mine and it's stuck on the vine and Halloween is just hours away, said the witch, and she kicked that pumpkin. I am bigger than you and stronger too, said the vampire. Let me try. Said the witch. Said the ghost. But they both thought about pumpkin pie, so they stepped aside. The vampire grabbed onto the vine and he pulled and he pulled and he pulled. But that pumpkin just sat. Drat, said the witch. Well, along came a mummy. Ooh, big pumpkin, she said. It's big and it's mine and it's stuck on the vine and Halloween is just hours away, said the witch, and she kicked that pumpkin. I am bigger than you and stronger too, said the mummy. Let me try. Said the witch. Said the ghost. Said the vampire. But they thought about pumpkin pie, so they stepped aside. The mummy grabbed onto the vine and she pulled and she pulled and she pulled. But that pumpkin just sat. Drat, said the witch. Well, a little bat had been watching all this from out in the moonlight. She flew down to the ghost and the vampire and the mummy and the witch, and she said, I bet I can get the pumpkin off the vine. Cackled the witch. Are you kidding? Look how small you are. Look how big we are. If you trust me, I bet I can make sure that we all have pumpkin pie tonight. Said the witch. Said the ghost. Said the vampire. Said the mummy. But they all thought about pumpkin pie, so they listened to the little bat. The little bat said for the witch to grab onto the pumpkin, the ghost to grab onto the witch, the vampire to grab onto the ghost, the mummy to grab onto the vampire, and the bat grabbed onto the mummy, and help me, together they all pulled, and they pulled, and they pulled, and pop! Off popped the pumpkin, and the bump, it rolled all the way to the witch's front door. And that night, they all had pumpkin pie. The end. All right, I hope you liked that story. There were all kinds of creatures in that one. Well, the next one we have is a book for you read by our special guest. He's been here before, Michael Warga from the post office. He's going to come and read us a story about another monster. Are you ready?
Hi, and this is the monster at the end of this book, starring lovable, furry old Grover. Hello, everybody. What did that say? On the cover, what did that say? Did that say there will be a monster at the end of this book? It did? Oh, I am so scared of monsters. Listen, I have an idea. If you do not turn any pages, we will never get to the end of this book. And that is good, because there is a monster at the end of this book. So please do not turn the page. You turned the page! Maybe you do not understand. You see, turning pages will bring us to the end of this book, and there is a monster at the end of this book. But this will stop you from turning pages, see? I am tying the pages together so you cannot... You turned another page! You do not know what you are doing to me. Now stop turning pages! There! I, Grover, am nailing this page to the next one so that you will not be able to turn it, and we will not get any closer to the monster at the end of this book. All right, all right, all right! Do you know that every time you turn another page, you not only get us closer to the monster at the end of this book, but you make a terrible mess. This will stop you from turning pages. A heavy, thick, solid, strong brick wall. I would just like to see you try to turn this page. Do you know that you are very strong? The next page is the end of this book, and there is a monster at the end of this book. Oh, I am so scared. Please do not turn the page. Please, please, please. Well, look at that. This is the end of the book, and the only one here is me. I, lovable, furry old Grover, am the monster at the end of this book. And you were so scared. I told you and told you there was nothing to be afraid of. Oh, I am so embarrassed.
All right, thank you so much, Michael, for telling us that story. There's a monster at the end of this book. Miss Ellie has got a great story for you all about October.
I do. Can you help me pick some of these objects that you might find in October? What is the picture of this? Jack-o'-lanterns, good job. In October, what do you see? I see a couple of jack-o'-lanterns laughing at me. In October, what do you see? I see a gray squirrel leaping from the trees. It's a cute little squirrel. We have in October, what do you see? I see the leaves falling from the trees. I bet everybody knows what this is. In October, what do you see? I see trick-or-treaters. Spelling trick or treat. The end.
Good job, Miss Ellie.
Good one.
All right, well, one of the things that I always see around Halloween and all the other times of the year is a cat. This cat is what color? White. Good job. Once there was a cat all white who wished he was as black as night. He was thirsty as could be, and in the cupboard, what did he see? Grape juice right before his eyes. He drank it, and then, to his surprise, he turned from white into something new. Purple was his new hue. He peered into his little cup. Then he saw tomato juice, and he lapped it up. He soon became the brightest red. He thought, maybe I should go to bed. But he wasn't tired, so he looked for somewhere else to go. He spied an orange on the floor and pounced on it to play some more. As he played this little game, orange is what he became. Then he played with some blueberries too, and suddenly the cat turned blue. A sour lime was on the ground. The kitty licked it and he found that he felt strange and not too keen, for he had turned the color green. Oh, now he was a sad little fellow. So he ate a banana and he turned yellow. Just then he saw a tasty treat, another food he had to eat. A long black piece of licorice. It gave the little cat his wish. He ate it all, and soon he was black from his head to his paws. Why did this happen? You guessed it right. You can blame it all on Halloween night. The end. All right. Miss Ellie, do you have another story
I
for us?
do. I have one of my friend Scarecrow. One day, the wind blew Scarecrow's hat right off of his head, and he was out in the middle of a cornfield. His eyes were getting sunburned. Oh, I can't do nothing without my hat. I have to go find another hat. So, the next morning, he walked into the store. Everybody needs a hat store. Talked to the person. Sir, I need to find another hat. Do you have any that could help me? What do you need for your hat? Well, I need to have some color, and I need it to be spooky, but not too spooky. Oh, I have a perfect hat for you. A party hat. No, I don't need that hat. It isn't the hat I'm looking for. I'm not having a special party. Okay, let's do... You said you needed a bigger hat and a colorful hat, and it isn't spooky. 4th of July, it's almost Halloween. I can't use a 4th of July hat. Well, I have an old cowboy hat. No, that isn't going to work either. Cowboy hats are for cowboys that ride horses. I'll see what else I can find back there. Oh, I hope I can find a hat that'll match. What about I have a fire engine hat? So, he tried on the fireman's hat. It was too red and too big, and it definitely did not match. Oh, I cannot find a hat. I need something to help cover my eyes when I'm standing out there guarding the field. I have something, said the hat maker. What about my famous Scarecrow hat? I only have one of a kind. I think that'll do well. So he goes back out on his perch and starts scaring away all the crows with his magical sunflower hat. The end.
Good job. All right, guys, I have one last story for you. This is one of my favorite Halloween books. It is called Frank Was a Monster Who Wanted to Dance. Frank was a monster who wanted to dance. I know I could boogie if they gave me a chance. So he put on his hat and his shoes made in France and opened a jar and put ants in his pants. Yahoo! He drove to the theater and jumped on stage. Then he danced like his shoe size instead of his age. Check this out. Bravo, fab, wow, buffo. Frank shook his shoulders as he strutted his stuff. The audience screamed they couldn't get enough. Frank did a cartwheel, yippee! Frank did a flip, yow! Suddenly his head began to unzip. Uh-oh. Out flopped his brain, which plopped on the floor, which loosened his eyeball, which rolled out the door. And after his arm fell out of his sleeve, whoops, the horrified audience started to leave. Ah! But Frank kept dancing. He said, what the heck? Ha 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 ha, and he laughed as his head fell off of his neck. He said to himself with a one-eyed glance, I might be a monster, but man, can I dance. The end. All right, guys, we hope you've enjoyed all these spooktacular stories tonight.
I know I have.
All right, well, we're going to say our hands give thanks, and then we'll tell you good night. Our hands give thanks with a clap, clap, clap. Our feet give thanks with a tap, tap, tap.